So, guys, they've been close to arrest Peter Obi because he came out to say Tinubu should hold on in embarking on the project of building the Lagos-Calabar coastal lane. Peter Obi emphasized that there are a lot of uncompleted projects across Nigeria. Why not go and finish them up? And also, Peter Obi lamented about the bad roads scattered across Nigeria. And you know what? They said Peter Obi should be arrested for always resisting the plans of this government. And do you know what? Atiku made similar statements, condemning this government going to embark on this Lagos-Calabar coastal lane. And apart from that, Atiku has come out again to condemn this government, and Atiku is even going beyond the board. I mean, Atiku is condemning Tinubu for having his son as one of the heads in the board of trustees of the company that is going to embark on this Lagos-Calabar coastal lane. Atiku is querying, why use the company in which your son is among those at the board? That is it, Nigerians. That is to tell you that these people have interior motive that they've not disclosed to Nigerians. And when Peter Obi speaks, they say Peter Obi should be crucified.
Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar yesterday accused President Bola Tinubu of conflict of interest because his son, Sheyi, was on the board of CDK Integrated Industries, a subsidiary of the Shaguri Group owned by the president's business allies, Gilbert Shaguri. Atiku said the development constituted a conflict of interest given the Shaguri Group's involvement in the gigantic Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway contract being carried out by the Tinubu government. The former vice president had criticized the contract as hurriedly awarded and executed against the country's procurement laws. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the 2023 elections disclosed that CDK Integrated Industries was into the manufacturing of ceramic tiles and sanitary towels. Citing a report by Paris-based Africa Intelligence News Agency, where it was revealed by the Corporate Affairs Commission that Sheyi was officially a business associate of Shaguri, Atiku said it was not surprising that the group had become the biggest beneficiary of the Tinubu largesse. Atiku restated that it had become obvious, even to the undiscerning, that the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway was being done in a hurry because of the business relationship between Tinubu and Gilbert Shaguri, the owner of High-Tech, the contractor that was awarded the contract for the highway project in alleged contravention of the procurement laws. Meanwhile, some lawyers say given that Sheyi Tinubu has no business with High-Tech who are doing the construction of Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, there's no conflict. And in the words of Senator Ben Bruce, the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway is a welcome development by the Tinubu government and will bring about huge economic growth.
A new era in Nigeria's transportation history has begun. A 700-kilometer Lagos-Calabar coastal highway with feeder roads joining it from different parts of the country is being built by the present administration, and this is proof of the transformative power of visionary leadership by President Bola Tinubu, who has put the present Minister of Works, David Umahi, a man of unwavering dedication, at the helm of affairs. Starting from Lagos, Calabar, Ogun, and Akwa Ibom. Simultaneously, it will traverse the beautiful landscapes of Ondo, Bayelsa, rivers, before culminating in the historic city of Calabar. With its cutting-edge technology and innovative design, this highway will slash travel times, reduce transportation costs, and increase access to markets and resources. It will be a game changer for entrepreneurs, investors, and travelers, and unlock new opportunities and boost economic growth. As we embark on this journey, we are not just building a highway. President Bola Tinubu is crafting a legacy of prosperity and growth. The Lagos-Calabar Highway will be a lifeline for business, a catalyst for economic development, and a symbol of hope for a brighter future. And this is why it is surprising that some disgruntled people are opposing this project, and I would suggest that such enemies of progress should not ply the road when it is completed and stick to the old, long, and treacherous routes. President Bola Tinubu's commitment to this project is a beacon of hope for our nation. As we celebrate this milestone, we must recognize that this project is not just a feat of engineering, but a triumph of our collective potential. So let us join hands and support the Minister David Omahi and his team as they embark on this magnificent scheme. My name is Ben Murray Bruce, and I just want to make common sense.
Well, the Common Sense series, the Common Sense man, Ben Murray Bruce, weighs in, but very importantly, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has come out to say that there might be some conflict of interest challenges in this particular award of contracts. What's your take on this, Rufai?
Okay, let me get to the brass tacks. Yes, the lawyers that are saying there might not be direct conflict of interest because it's not a part of the high-tech board. Yes, there's an argument to that. There's a logical reason to that. But as long as it's in the grand scheme of things in businesses belonging to Mr. Shaguri, then there might be something to look at again there. And that's why we ask the question, why is it that the speed was so much for this coastal road project? And for me, as regards the video played, I didn't see any logical analysis of the matter with due analysis. It's just starting the project. We all know the benefits of the coastal road. Nobody's not talking against the benefit of the coastal road. What we are saying is let's do things properly. You cannot say a coastal road that you don't do a proper EIA. You can see when the Minister of Environment did come around and they showed him the letter saying that the scoping was just done on the 28th. He couldn't confirm or deny. This was the same person that said they get preliminary approval. So you're giving preliminary approval without even the scoping done, which is the third process out of the 8 processes of EIA. You can see the telecom operators are now coming out to say that undersea cable passes through those areas. So if you have done a proper EIA, you will have known that undersea cable passes through the area. Because part of the stakeholders you will have called in the scoping process will be the telecoms company, likes of May1 and Co. and other things. And you will be able to assert that undersea cable passes through those areas. That's why we are calling for EIA. So you see, all of this one that the telecom companies are raising now is because the proper EIA was not done. Also, as regards the bidding of the project, when you look at it, it still looks very nebulous to me. So is it only iCheck that has the capacity in the whole of Nigeria? People cannot even bid lesser or lower? Or is it subjected to an open competitive bid for a project of that magnitude? Also, what was the haste? What was the rush? Why was there a lot of rerouting? I took an impact assessment tour to Good Beach on Friday. Initially, the first part of the road was just supposed to pass through the car park of Good Beach. As of today, they said it's going to make landfall. They're having another road that's going to make landfall in Good Beach. Most of the infrastructure are going to go. As of the Friday when I came, government assessors came to assess the kind of investment in Good Beach so that they'll be able to pay compensation. So there are many bottlenecks. See, you see, they like to tout us like anti-coastal road. I want this country to open up, but I want it to be done properly. Because all of these questions we're asking them, we might see a case where people might not take it up to litigate to ask them that same questions. Just do things properly. Because this was the same people that were shouting when they didn't do the, Dr. Abati was in your government. I remember how they hounded the government you served in then about the EIA for the second Niger bridge. This was the same people. So we are saying, please, let us do it properly. I want this country to open up. I want development. I know the potential it brings. Now you open up industrialization. Go and see my hitherto tweets. I, Rufai Oseni, supported the coastal road, but I want it to be done rightly. Because you see, we do things not for ourselves, we do it for posterity. The Yorubas have a saying that do it the way it has to be done so that it will look the way it needs to look. Part of that will be EIA. Looking at the mapping, looking at the routing, looking at competitive bidding, ensure that due diligence is taken so that all the gray areas people are raising, and we are going to be able to solve all of them. I want expansion. I mean, Governor Mai was talking the other day about a circular road from Badagry to Sokoto like it's a new deal. No, those roads have been talking about since the time of Shagari. We want this country to open up, but we're saying do it the way it has to be done.
Right.
That's just the grouse.
So do it the way it has to be done.
Okay, what are the issues here? Number one, President Tinubu has been accused of a conflict of interest because his son is on the board of a company called CDK, belonging to the Shaguris. And then there is an attempt to link that with the construction of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, which has been awarded to another company, High Tech, belonging to also the Shaguri Group. Well, let's be fair. Sheyi Tinubu, the son of the president, is a legal personality unto himself. He can have his own business commitments. He can be on any board. He also has rights under the Constitution to the extent that he can do business. He's a free citizen. If he's on the board of CDK that produces ceramic tiles and sanitary towels, I don't see why anybody should have any problem with that. Okay? So he can have his own engagements different from what his father does. I don't see how he's being on the board of CDK interferes with government work. That would be, a stretch. That would be, imagining things on the surface of it as a principle. However, I think that, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar raised a number of allegations. If he wants to accuse President Tinubu, let him focus on President Tinubu. He had previously said that the Shaguris, they are business partners to President Tinubu. So let him hold President Tinubu responsible. Let him not stretch it to the sun in this particular instance. Now, Betty raised a number of issues. He says the award of the contract for the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway did not go through competitive bidding. He said, two, that it was meant to be a build, operate, and transfer project, but that now, all of a sudden, the federal government has made money available for it. Those are issues that we can talk about. Three, he said that High Tech, that is the company that is in charge, doesn't have a record of performance. It's not for him to decide that. The people who are awarding the contracts, who are in government, they decide. Three, there has been so much talk about the redesign, the rerouting of the project. Yes, it was originally supposed to go through Water Corporation Drive, and now it's been shifted in another direction. I think, former Governor David Umahi, now Minister of Works, he has tried to offer an explanation in that regard. Number five, the point to note is that what we should be interested in is that, is this project in public interest? If it is in public interest, if it's a legacy project, then of course we can't argue about it. Now, one of the things he said is that the environmental impact assessment has not been completed, so the project is rushed. Okay, I think there was a story front page over the weekend that in fact, approval had been given, for preliminary approval had been given. I don't imagine that preliminary approval will be cooked up. Maybe there has been some assessment. But what I find interesting in it is that the federal government is paying compensation to the people who are affected. Last week, 27.5 billion was paid to 10 businesses affected along that route. I will consider that to be consistent with my earlier argument on this program, that look, they should do things with human feeling, with human face, and not just cause unnecessary havoc. There have been arguments about how this will affect tourism and all of that. Well, perhaps if they complete that Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, maybe there will be bigger opportunities even for tourism. But with all the controversy that has surrounded this, I think President Tinubu, it must be clear to him that this is a project that he must complete. It will not be enough to just demolish structures, make big fanfare out of this project and not complete it. So if it's a priority to his administration, even the people whose structures have been affected would like to see and say, okay, we made the sacrifice, we got compensated. But to leave it as an abandoned white elephant project. No, that would be a scandal. And we'll be here to remind everybody that this is a big scandal, because demolition for demolition's sake will be insensitive. Finally, the other point that I think that former Vice President Atiku Abubakar made is that the Tinubu administration should pay attention to the ease of doing business. That's an intelligent point. You can't argue with that. Another point that Vice President Atiku Abubakar made that I think would be a big takeaway would be his point that, look, pay less attention to propaganda about FDI. The president travels, we have not even seen him. He left Saudi Arabia 6 days ago. Where is he, by the way? So Atiku Abubakar is saying, pay less attention to propaganda, let us see results. Those are legitimate points that he can make. But as to drag the son into the matter, no, please. Leave issues that are not relevant, leave them aside. In this particular case, that's the way I see it.
All right, so the thrust of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar's message was putting personal interest above public good. And in saying this, he had cited the fact that the president's son, Sheyi Tinubu, was a board member of one of the businesses run by the founders of high-tech contractors who were given the contracts to manage the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. If you recall, when the Minister of Works was here, we had actually challenged or asked him the question around the bidding process of awarding this contract, if due process was followed. And he had said that having looked at the quality of work that high-tech had done in the past and looking at the capacity of other companies in such areas of expertise, they felt it was best to have given high-tech without perhaps a proper bidding process. According to a Business Day report today, they actually highlighted that a source from the Bureau of Public Procurement, BPP, had actually said that this particular contract didn't go through due process. In fact, what had happened was that they received a letter from the president to award the contract, and it goes against the normal procedure for awarding of contracts. Let me just share with you in terms of what the process ought to have been and what the process then ended up being. I'm saying this for a purpose, because when we look at the scrutiny on this Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, the fact that Atiku Abubakar came out with the assertion that the president's son is on the board of one of the companies is not standalone. It is part of a wider concern around this particular contract. And that's why when you wonder and you ask questions around, okay, why wasn't due process followed? Why the hurry, the conversation around EIA? It sounds fishy, it looks fishy, and then this then provokes more investigations, and then more investigations brings up more revelations. So the fact that Sheyi Tinubu is not on the board of high-tech on itself and is on CDK is part of a wider conversation around there's something not quite right about the process. And so that's why I feel there's some merit to what former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has said. Let me share with you what the process under normal circumstances should have been. It ought to have gone through a proper bid process, and after a certificate of no objection by the BPP, the evaluation report should have been sent to the Federal Executive Council for approval before the award. But what they saw was a letter from the presidency informing the BPP that the contract was awarded to the company, which the BPP DG simply approved. So there are questions around the approval process, and so you begin to wonder. And that's how investigations are provoked when there's something not quite right about something. They begin to dig deeper, and of course, from digging, there might be revelations that would come out. And so this assertion that the president's son, whom has, obviously we all know how he's been closely linked to the president's campaign, his business interests, was there perhaps some influencing? Why is there a need? There's no conversation around whether or not this coastal highway is important. We have established that fact. But another thing that was raised by the former vice president was that they could have given the businesses more notice. Why would we jeopardize attracting foreign direct investment by our actions because of a particular contract? So these are big questions that have not been answered, I must say, by this administration, by the Minister of Work sufficiently to douse suspicions from the Nigerian people. So I do believe this is not a closed subject at all. There will be more conversations. We're looking forward to seeing the report, the EIA report, in full, in detail, to ensure that due process was indeed done, following the fact that BPP has said it didn't go through the normal process that contracts of this nature, of this amount, ought to have gone through in Nigeria.
Lot happening in Nigeria, and each time people speak up, this government, they are so uncomfortable with criticism. And you ask me, what's the essence of democracy? Democracy is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So allow the people to be a part and parcel of whatever you are doing. So when Peter Obi comes out to condemn what this government is doing, they say Peter Obi should be crucified. And in case you don't know, they even said Peter Obi is demarketing Nigeria because Peter Obi went to Canada and was asked questions, and he addressed those questions. And today he's being seen as somebody who, who is demarketing Nigeria. Tell me what is so good to be marketed, since this government took over. Tell me. And that is why we keep saying that this government should be held accountable for their failure. Anyway, let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Thank you.